Hello, and welcome back to the State of the Fandom. I am your president for life, democratically elected, of course, of furry fandom and time and space. And with me, as always, is my partner in love and life, Sir Labrador.
Yes, hello, 'tis I, Sir Labrador. How is everyone doing today? So today's topic of the day is taxation, and how do we effectively tax everyone in a fair and equal manner?
Yeah, because here's the thing. The services that the government provides, and let me be very clear from the start of this podcast, because it is important. I don't care if you're conservative, I don't care if you're Democrat, I don't care if you're liberal, I don't care if you're a Martian. Everyone uses the services that the government provides.
Yes, everyone does.
You know, we are currently flying in Air Force One, so, you know, we're not currently using the roads, but normally, most people use federal roads or state roads every day.
Yes.
People use the post office every day. People use Social Security when they get old. Every person benefits from these programs. Again, I don't care if you're conservative. I don't care if you're liberal. It doesn't matter. The idea of having no government, having, getting rid of all of these types of programs is a pipe dream. It would not benefit anyone.
It's never going to happen. So, to get back to the question of taxation, my personal take on taxation is just tax everyone 15%.
Mm-hmm.
Just because you're an individual, you should pay 30%? No! Let the people keep their fucking money, and then educate the people on how to spend educate the people on what's valuable, what isn't, and let them decide. Let them decide how to spend their fucking money.
Exactly. So, I would have to do the math to find out the exact percentage, but if I'm not mistaken, around 15% is roughly the amount that you would have taxed to pay for government programs if you were taxing all income equally. So, tax, whether it's investment income or employment income or, whatever, tax churches, tax, places that are politically active.
Yep.
Have to be taxed. That's the law.
Yes.
So if a church is politically active, by law, they are supposed to be taxed. And they're not.
Do they get taxed? No. We are leaving so much money on the goddamn table. Right. And then people are hoarding their money because, I don't want to spend my money on this because scary. A recession. Scary. How am I going to afford this? Scary. Prepare for the next coming wave of apocalypse. Scary. No. Take a breather. Everyone should just be taxed at 15%. Problem solved.
Well, and one of the ways that I think this is a bit of a radical proposition, it actually comes from the right. I think it's actually a pretty good idea, is to do a national value-added tax. So I've explained it to you before, but I don't think I've explained it on the podcast.
No, you haven't. But
a value-added tax.
Or a VAT tax.
Yep, VAT tax. You've probably heard of it if you've ever looked into stuff in Europe or Japan or Australia. Most modern economies have a VAT, a value-added tax.
Hell, even Sean Hannity, don't quote me, but I've heard Sean Hannity talk about VAT taxes.
I bet he has. Again, this is an idea that comes from the right.
Yes.
There are a lot of things I disagree with Republicans on, but this is one that we very much agree on. There is no reason why we shouldn't have a value-added tax, and here is why. Businesses already pay sales tax to the state.
Yes, they do.
So that means that they're already doing the filing. So doing an additional filing every month or every quarter or whatever for a national sales tax would not be a significant extra burden of paperwork. They're already paying people to do the paperwork. Filing one additional form is not a undue burden on the taxpayer.
No, it's not.
And the way that a value-added tax works is you pay the amount. It's usually something like 5%.
Yep.
You pay the amount based on how much value you have added to the product in the production process. So, for example, you're making a car. You have to buy the steel. So the steel factory gets in all the components and then they produce steel.
Yep.
So they've taken, I don't know what the numbers are exactly, but let's say it goes from $1 a pound to $10 a pound. You have added $9 in value to that pound of materials, and so you would pay a 5% tax on that value that you have added to the material.
Yes.
And this makes it so that every business has to pay a fair amount for how much they are adding in value to whatever the transaction is. This is a way to make everyone pay their fair share and it be extremely transparent.
It will be very transparent. On top of, so you have that tax and you have the 15% tax, cut out all the other tax bullshit, and now you only have two tax for. Basically, you have two, maybe three avenues of taxes, as instead of you have this, you have that, you have this, you have that, you have that. Have you ever looked down your tax sheet? It's like, what the fuck?
Right.
Fuck is all this?
There's no reason to overcomplicate it. The overcomplicating it only means that people will find loopholes to exploit. It does not mean that the government will get more money. The government will get more money if you simplify the tax code. There's something like $100 billion a year that is payable under current law, but people are not paying because they're able to get around it with loopholes in the tax code. That's $100 billion. Let me put that into perspective. That's half the budget of Medicare. Half the budget of Medicare.
$100 billion. That is half of Elon Musk's net worth, guys.
Every year that we are leaving on the table. That under current law, people are supposed to be paying, and they are not.
No, that's not excluding people that either don't make enough money to get taxed, or their investments don't make enough money to bother, worrying about taxes on.
Yeah, no, because that's the case federally if you make less than around $700 or something like that. I'm not talking about those people.
No.
I'm talking about, the fucking Elon Musks of the world who, take out a loan against their own assets and then don't pay taxes because they've taken a loss. Like, that type of stuff should be illegal. Should be illegal because you are a person with wealth. This is my... I wish I could tell this to every person in America because this is important. If you are a person with wealth, it is important that you pay a fair and equitable amount of taxes. And here's why. The services that the government provides are of the same value to you as they are to everyone else. So let's just say for the sake of argument, okay?
Okay.
Let's say that... you went to a economist and they said, well, I would say that on average, everyone benefits an additional 1% from being able to use public roads.
Yes.
Now, a person who is on the lower end of the economic spectrum, who pays 35%, they're paying probably significantly more than that for the use of roads. Whereas somebody who is making billions of dollars and pays, 15 cents on every gallon of gas or whatever, they're paying significantly less than 1%. Another important one that it deserves to be talked about is healthcare. Healthcare is something that every person needs. I don't care if you have $0 or $10 billion. You need healthcare, and you need approximately, on an average of a population, you need approximately the same amount of healthcare as everyone else.
Yes, to add to that point, think about it this way. When the government steps in and takes over, say, XYZ program, what you're paying for is the government's ability and capability to pull together the logistics a normal business can't achieve.
Right.
Local government might be able to achieve some of it.
Right.
But when you have the power of the federal government, you are paying for their logistic capabilities and ability to make decisions. Now that filters into, are they capable of making the decisions for the positive or the negative of the people?
Right.
That is the $1 million question, and a lot of people don't trust the government because they've made horrible decisions when they have the power to make decisions, and they only make decisions that benefit themselves,
Correct.
not those around them. So the overall equity that the U.S. government has in stock with the rest of the people is at an all-time low.
Correct. Well, and here is why, in my opinion, that is the case. Okay, you are completely correct. The trust of the people is at an all-time low.
Yes.
And in my opinion, this is why. Average people, so anybody that's not in the 1%, yeah, the other 99% of people,
Yep.
have not benefited in any significant way for the past 50 years. Since 1970, the wages for low-income and middle-income people have been the same or down in inflation-adjusted dollars.
Continue straight.
When people say, "Oh, well, I can't afford to buy groceries," yeah, because the people in power are fucking you over.
Yes.
That is why you can't afford to buy groceries. That is why you can't afford to buy healthcare and childcare and a car and a home. All of these things have been going up in price while wages have stayed the same. And people have been squeezed to their breaking point. Of course, they feel like the government can't help them because they have been crying out for help for decades, and we have done nothing.
Correct. Now, to flip the coin over to the other side, it is blatantly obvious that it is upon the individual to take responsibility for themselves, educate themselves in these mechanisms that they have not been taught about on purpose, by the way.
Correct.
There's many things that the governments and ultra-elite have chosen to intentionally prevent knowledge of these mechanisms, such as being able to buy property. There's 100 ways to buy property. You don't have to get an FHA loan, then buy a piece of property, then from there you have to, show that you have responsibility with economics and this and that. Meanwhile, you can turn around and just buy government debt. That is backed by the government. That is by government debt. That is backed by the government and guaranteed by the government. You don't lose.
Right. Well, and here is my opinion on that specifically, okay?
Yep.
Here is my opinion. Yes, it is on the individual to improve their life.
Yes.
Because no one is going to do it for you.
No.
No one. Not the government, not your parents, not your pastor. It doesn't matter. They're not going to just hand you stuff. But here is the most important thing that needs to change in America today.
Yep.
This is it. We need access to the information.
We do.
Because think about one of my personal favorite books, Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Yep.
Okay? I love this book. It
Me
has
too.
so many good principles that every single person in America should know. Principles like, you will never get rich working a wage job.
You will not.
You
could work 4 wage jobs, and I can tell you how you could work 4 wage jobs and still never get rich. You're on this perpetual hamster wheel, when in reality you need to be taking some of your portions of your dividends and finding ways to make your money make money.
Right. Well, imagine the average person, okay? The average amount of income for a family in the U.S. is around $50,000.
Yes.
Okay? You take out 30% for tax. 30%. That is 1/3 of 50,000, which would be, let's see, about 15,000, around $15,000 to $18,000 a year.
Yep.
Okay, so
Yep.
just take 15,000 off. So you've gone from 50,000 to 35,000 without even paying for anything. Okay, so now you have to pay for your housing. Most families live in a either an apartment or a house
Yep.
with, let's say, 2 or 3 bedrooms.
Yep.
Okay? Depending on how many kids you have. But 2 or 3 bedrooms is pretty standard. You're talking about $1,500 a month.
Uh-huh.
In most cities, in most states. And that would be a good price for a house of that size. Again, we paid around that amount in Indiana, which has a lower cost of living than most places.
Yes.
So we're lowballing it at $1,500.
And the state that I came from, Maine, has some of the highest goddamn house prices in the entire fucking country.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
So
It was like $3,000 for a 1-bed, 1-bath. Or some bullshit.
Jesus. Well, take that as an example. That's $36,000 a year. So now you have paid your taxes and your housing, and you have nothing left.
Uh-huh.
That's unconscionable.
And there's a reason why on the radio, the radio in Maine is wonderful, because they understand, the radio jockeys understand it's bullshit.
Yeah.
So what they actually do is they teach people how to make money on the fucking radio.
Good. That's good.
They're constantly, it's like, okay, here's how you do it, here's this, here's that, here's this, here's that, here's this piece of information, here's this piece of information. I've learned more from the fucking radio, and these aren't just, economic guru, this and that. It's people talking about the real world application of these core principles that most people have no fucking idea even exist.
Correct.
Because they've been there, they've done that.
Right. Well, here's the thing. Here's what I see, personally. Okay? And I'm not an academic. I'm not a business professor yet. I would like to be, but...
We might as well. What is a business professor other than someone who has a piece of paper stating that they're a business professor?
Fair enough. But
In 10 years, we will be business professors, and we'll be better than the goddamn business professors we will be on the same level as the business professors at fucking Harvard, because the people at Harvard learn these core concepts, learn these understanding of these mechanisms that are in place that are not legal loopholes. They're mechanisms that everyone can take advantage of. It's just you have to go through hoops. You have to learn this information. And if you don't know what you don't know, then you don't know.
Mm-hmm. So, to get back to what I was going to say, here is something that I feel very strongly about. Okay?
Uh-huh.
I think that people have completely ass backwards views of how to get ahead in life. Okay? Here's what I see. I see people on the left saying, oh, well, I resent those rich people. I hate those rich people. How dare they? How dare they do that? And then I see people on the right that say, well, yeah, I don't mind people getting rich, but, how do I get rich as well? You have either people resenting other people or resenting the government. On the left, they resent the people. On the right, they resent the government. There's no middle ground where we can say, okay, so, yes, it is expensive to run a country. It is expensive. It is expensive to run healthcare. It is expensive to... here's something not a lot of people know. Did you know that the federal government already pays 45% of the healthcare costs in the United States? 45%. So we are almost a majority social medicine nation.
Uh-huh.
Already, under the current system.
We might as well cut the rope and finish it.
Yes. We already spend per person in federal and state dollars. We already spend more than the average country that has national health care. Already.
Yeah.
And do you know why we spend more?
Inefficiencies within the itself?
Correct. Primarily negotiation. So, Medicare can go to a medicine manufacturer like Pfizer or whatever, and they can say, okay, we're only going to pay $100 for this medication. We know that you can produce the medication for 10 cents per pill. There's no reason for us to pay $10,000 for it. Now, a a large insurance company can do similar types of negotiation, but they don't have as much power as an entire country.
No, they don't. Again, it boils back to one of our original points of what do you pay for? What do you pay for with your tax dollars? Primarily the ability of the government to negotiate on the better half, on the betterment of everyone around us.
Mm-hmm.
You pay for the logistics. Here's why the U.S. government, here's what the U.S. military is world class at, unrivaled by anyone else on fucking Earth.
Mm-hmm.
Logistics.
Absolutely.
If you want, here's the thing. There's a reason why in Ukraine's managed to hold its own.
Mm-hmm.
It's because the U.S. government is basically showing up and giving them unrivaled levels of logistics, information, and technology.
Mm-hmm.
The U.S. is single-handedly winning the war against Russia. Russia cannot defeat us. No force on Earth can defeat us because we are that much better at logistics than everyone else.
Correct.
Logistics, and the people will fall in line.
Yeah. Well, and to build on that point, we have this incredible logistical capability. There's no... I may not be a person who is in favor of a military that can kill every person on Earth. That, in my opinion, that is not a good use of money. But the fact is, that is where we have prioritized our money for 100 years. And why should we not use that logistical capability to make the lives of every single person on Earth better instead of worse?
Or at the very least, we can make the lives of every one of our American citizens better through logistics and logistical capabilities. If we for example, if the government decided one day to eminent domain all the private prisons, and then eminent domain all of the hospitals in the country, turned around, and then use the U.S. military's logistical capabilities to run both of them, we would be the best guy. We would have, I would guess, I'd have to talk with more experts on this, but I'd be willing to bet that we would go from 50th in the country to number 1 in the country.
In the world, you mean?
In the world, yes. Number 1 in the world.
Right. Well, and to the idiots who are going to come into our comment section and say, oh, but we can't possibly pay for it. It's impossible. We spent $4 trillion on COVID, and what did we fucking get? Nothing. Nothing.
I mean, we spent $4 trillion on COVID, and we managed to vaccinate everyone in the fucking country.
Well, sure. But my point is, in terms of long-term benefit, in terms of benefit in 100 years, we got nothing for $4 trillion. Whereas we could have, in a state of emergency, with everybody on board, every person in Congress, every person in government, every person in state government, every person in healthcare, every person in education, on the same page, we could have said, okay, like you said, we're going to eminent domain every single hospital, every single clinic. It's all going to be government owned. Every person is going to get paid in full for the value of what they have. And now it is going to be the government's property. And then, instead of paying rent or, inflated profit-adjusted prices, they would just be paying for the goods and services instead of the goods and services plus someone's profit margin.
They'd be paying for the goods and services. That's all subsidized by the U.S. government anyway.
Right.
Oh, hey, national fucking healthcare. At the stroke of a pen, and we can do it legally today. Yeah. And we don't have to go through all this fucking bullshit of, we gotta go through the ways and means, we gotta go through the Wades and Kurds and Mary Poppins and
the Mary Poppins Committee.
The Mary Poppins Committee, and we gotta go through this, and we gotta do this, and we gotta have a conversation about this that lasts 37 fucking thousand years. Do it with the stroke of a pen. It's sitting right there. If the president of the United States wants to win the next election with a landslide, just, I don't know. Here's how the Biden. Here's a free one. One, eminent domain all of the hospitals. Put them all in government control. Two, legalize pot. Just legalize pot.
Legalize it and fucking tax it.
Legalize it, tax it. You can do that with a stroke of a pen, by the way.
Absolutely.
Three, that's slightly more controversial. Just legalize prostitution.
Yeah.
A prostitute has done more for the mental health of a man than a psychiatrist ever fucking has. Because what do men truly want? What do men want? They don't want to sit there and talk about their fucking feelings. No man wants to sit there and talk about their feelings. They want power. They want influence. They want sexual gratification of a woman.
I wouldn't know, but I'm just joking.
They want sexual gratification.
Sure. Well, and here's the thing. I agree with you on this issue, but I come at it from the opposite side. From my perspective, the reason why we should legalize prostitution is primarily for the safety of the sex workers, both male and female.
There's that too, but...
Because, imagine, this would be crazy in our current system, but, imagine if people working in prostitution had the same employment benefits and protections as everyone else. If you get hurt at work, you get workers' compensation. What a shock!
Oh, no.
Yes, unfortunately, there are going to be accidents in any type of job, especially a job where you're doing sexual acts with someone else. There are going to be accidents. And the fact that people have to deal with these things on their own, completely without any government or any employer's help, is silly.
It's stupid.
Stupid!
Don't say silly, say stupid. Use the strongest language we can.
I agree. It's stupid. And it's like, in my opinion, it's like banning alcohol.
That never worked out for anybody.
You're never going to get people to stop consuming alcohol. So, you regulate it, you tax it out the wazoo, and you encourage people to not do it to excess. And this is the same way we should treat prostitution and pot, and, in my opinion, even stronger drugs.
At the very least, decriminalize them.
Right.
At least take them off the schedule. Get rid of the scheduling system, decriminalize them, and just add it. Add it to the driving under the influence category, or
right.
You were driving under the influence. Well, you were driving under the influence. Doesn't matter what it was. You were driving under the influence, and you caused an accident. You caused a crash. You killed someone. Well, right. You were driving under the influence.
That is an example of something that should be punished because you're putting other people in danger.
Now, if you want to sit at home, get stoned because X, Y, and Z happened, or X, Y, and Z happened in your life, and you just feel like you need to get away from it all because you don't have the knowledge, you don't have the understanding, you don't have the ability to take care of whatever problem that you're currently facing. Well, my first response is, go watch a YouTube video about economics. If you're really feeling that, here's why people smoke so much pot. It's because they don't have any power left in their lives. So this is the only act of rebellion that they have. It happens with children all the time.
Oh, yeah.
They feel like they have no power left in their lives. So the only power that they have is to rebel in the only way that they can.
Right. Well, and here is something that's important to me on this topic.
Yeah.
Okay? The countries that have changed the way that they do drug policing from criminalization to treating it as a disease, as a healthcare issue.
Yes.
when people go into these clinics in Vancouver or Portugal or wherever, these different places where this has been done, about 50% of people who come into those clinics say, I don't want to be doing heroin, I want treatment. And so they get started on treatment. And some percentage, not everyone, some percentage of those people are able to quit.
Yes.
And what that means is that the amount of drug use goes down.
It does.
So if your goal is less people doing drugs, then you should legalize it and tax it and give people treatment.
Uh-huh.
If your goal is to put people of color in jail, then by all means, continue the current system.
It benefits nobody.
Right.
It just creates and reinforces a broken system, and unfortunately, doesn't benefit anybody. Having
Right.
more people in prison doesn't benefit society.
Right.
It creates a culture and a society of mistrust.
Uh-huh. Well, and for the average person, you know, rich people, it's always a different story. But for the average person who gets put in jail, their life is destroyed. They get out of prison. Well, let's say they have a short prison sentence, 2 years, okay? They get out of prison. Now they have a criminal record. They have no job. They have no house. They have nothing. Generally speaking, all the legal issues and, paying for different stuff has depleted of their money. So now they have no job, no house, no money.
They're working 3-4 jobs.
If they can even get a job because they have a record.
A lot of them wind up self-employed anyway at that point, just because the only one that will employ them is themselves.
Right.
And they don't bother telling anybody, oh, this, all that. I'm like, they keep their fucking mouth shut.
Mm-hmm.
They can't get a real job anymore.
Right.
They don't have they've lost the security of society itself by being a product of a broken system.
Right.
Which, if that's the intention, well, howdy-do. Good job.
Right. And the way that things are punished is completely unfair. You know, someone goes and, robs a convenience store of $100.
Uh-huh.
And they can be put in jail for a decade.
Or you have someone like Justin Bieber who goes around the world acting like a complete fucking shithead, and he's still making more money than God.
Right.
You have these celebrities. Oh, he's a celebrity. He's going through his rebellion phase. Oh, he'll be fine. Oh, he's got a criminal record. The people that these celebrities talk to don't fucking care because it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, we've reinforced the concept of, oh, you were a bad person, so you did this. So we're not gonna trust you anymore because you did something 10 fucking years ago.
Right.
Now, people that just got out of prison, yeah, their mindset is still in survival mode, and that survival mode takes a long time to de-escalate within their own mind.
Absolutely.
I've seen audience. I've watched a lot of there's this one YouTube channel that I've paid attention to for the last 10 years or so.
Mm-hmm.
It's called the After Prison Show, and what they started with was people that just got out of prison. They tried to help them out, tried to get jobs and whatnot, businesses and stuff started for them. Now, the owner of it 10 years later has decided to stop doing a lot of that because it backfires on him all the time.
Okay.
And what he started to realize was a lot of these people that just got out, yes, they need help, but they need more help than he can provide.
Oh.
Because of that,
okay.
Because of that survival mode. Because of that,
right.
Because the people that come out are just looking, basically ready for a fucking fight.
Oh, jeez.
And they're looking to fight the goddamn world, and the world's just like, what the hell are you talking about, bro? Chill.
Mm-hmm.
Chill. I can't! Ah! Basically.
Okay. And what is the What's that means what?
Oh, that means...
I don't understand the point that you're getting at.
What I'm saying is that professional help should be reinforced. Professional help should be talked about more than anything.
Yes,
especially
absolutely.
for those individuals who, how do we put it? Especially for those individuals who have been through trauma.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Right.
It takes a long time to de-escalate.
Right. And okay. Now I understand what you're saying.
Good.
And I really like how you put that. Trauma. Because if you just went up to the average voter, let's say, and you said, should we care about how people who get out of prison feel about their lives? Most people would say, I don't care. They're criminals.
Yeah, they're criminals.
Meanwhile, a person with compassion, a person with focus on mental health would say, of course we care, because we don't want them to commit more crimes.
Now, if we could just cut the head off the snake and make it reinforce the mechanisms that keep people out of prison in the first place, we'll have less instances of people feeling powerless in this world. We'll have less instances of people committing these crimes because, when you live in the hood, what's there to do? Drink, and what else?
Well, and let's be clear on this as well, because this is not just a problem with people who live in cities. People who live in the rural areas mention this issue as well, of there's nothing to do other than drink and do drugs. Like,
yeah, there's a lot of crime that happens.
I lived in a very small town in Missouri, and this was what people would talk about. Of like, there's no opportunity. Half of the businesses are closed. Half of the other half are struggling. There's no jobs. There's nothing.
And then, we roll up wherever, and then we start having a conversation, and we've lost half the people in the conversation in the first 30 seconds because what we have to talk about isn't even on their level. It's very sad. It's like, I don't mean to offend anybody, but X, Y, and Z, yeah, I'm doing this, yeah, I'm doing that, yeah, I just bought 30 properties. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about, bro? I'm like, you come out swinging out of the gate, and I'm like...
So for the audience who hasn't been...
up to date,
listening in to our conversations over the last couple of days, you might want to explain what you're talking about with the people at your work, right?
Oh yeah, the people at my work, they're operating at a way lower level, and they're just... Maybe I need to, figure out what the hell they're talking about, but they're sitting there, they're watching, the TV at work, and they're like, I try and start a conversation with them, and they're like, oh, we don't like you, rah, we don't need you doing this, rah. Meanwhile, I have a master's degree from a prestigious college down in Hong Kong, and I've got this, and I've got that, and I've come from wealth, and I've come from a wealthy state, and then I get down where I am, and it's like, y'all are fucking poor, y'all are broke. I'm like, y'all can't carry an interesting conversation about nothing.
Right. Well, and again, similar to what I was saying yesterday, some people are offended or resentful or angry, whatever. It depends on the person, but some people will see you negatively, not because you're doing anything wrong, but because you're doing so much better than them. Not because you're a better person, because everyone is equal, but you have better ideas, you have better ways of doing things that make more money. If a person who you know,
the interchange on the right.
If a person who owns 100, rental properties walked in and started talking about it, they'd be like, oh, wow, fuck that guy,
Yeah.
That is the mindset of most people. And it's terrible. Whereas when I meet people like that, what I do is I say, how interesting. Tell me how you did that.
Meanwhile, I go talk to some of my best friends who are like, yeah, shit, wait, you have that? I'm like, yeah, man, this, yeah, dude. Wait, hook me up with that. Hook me up with that. Oh, so if you're saying I do it this way, not that way, all 10x, oh, fuck yeah, man.
Right.
The people that I associate as friends are doing better than myself.
Mm-hmm.
What? But, and then I try and talk to some normal person on the street, they're just like, I like baseball, I like football, I'm like, I like, normal stuff. Like,
well, and it's not bad to like those things, but to resent someone instead of saying, wow, let's work together, let's both be rich.
Uh-huh.
Oh my god, this would drive me crazy with the conventions back in the day of people who would be angry at me for doing well. Oh, well, you made $8,000 this weekend and I made $300. Well, fuck you. Like, what are you talking about? I would be happy to show you how you can make $8,000 in a weekend. But I'm not going to do that if you just come up to me and start yelling at me.
Yeah.
Why the hostility? Why the anger? Let's work together instead of at cross purposes with each other.
Yeah. Meanwhile, my coworkers are all just like, this guy's a weird one. He's like, we can't let him do any of the paperwork. I'm like, okay.
Jesus.
I do more paperwork than you guys. I deal with problems bigger than, a handful of paperwork.
Mm-hmm.
We can't have you do the paperwork. We can't have you do this. We can't have you do that. They look down upon me at work, which insults me.
Right.
Sorry. You guys are insulting me now. Good job.
Again, it's no different than the people who looked down on me for doing so much better than them.
Uh-huh.
I'm so sorry that I made 15 times more money than you. My methods are 15 times better.
Uh-huh. Oh, and what methods are those? Just for the audience, just to satiate the audience. Let's give the audience a freebie.
Sure, absolutely. So, if you're doing person-to-person sales, so this could be at a convention, it could be, you're selling cell phones at a store, whatever. If you're selling one-on-one, okay?
Yep.
If you are selling one-on-one to people, there's a couple of principles that are very important. One is to make sure that you have your full attention on whatever you're doing.
Yes.
I can't tell you how many times at conventions or stores or whatever that the person's attention is off in some other dimension while I'm trying to buy something.
Uh-huh.
Sorry, I'm not going to buy from you if you're on your phone. It's not worth my time.
No.
Secondly, you want to create an immediate connection with that person. So you look them in the eye, give them a nice firm handshake, ask them about their day, ask them how they're doing. These kind of simple stuff. Simple.
Yep.
And again, you would not believe how many people struggle with this. And then you move the conversation to, what can I do for you? So, if the person is looking for a gift, maybe you help them find a gift. If the person is looking for something to help with their business, maybe you find out what their business specifically needs.
Mm-hmm.
You find out what they need.
Yes.
And provide it, and of course they'll give you their money.
Uh-huh.
It's really that easy. Sales is not a smart man's game. It is quite easy if you know what you're doing.
Or even if you don't know what you're doing, as long as you employ some of these principles, engage with the customer, put the phone down.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of, walking away 10 times, you've made 10 sales. Okay, were they perfect, grand slams every time? No, but that's life. Life is not perfect grand slams. Bases are loaded every single day, but employ the basics.
Mm-hmm.
and learn the basics,
Right.
you'll do much better.
Correct.
I'm not a perfect person. I don't claim to be a perfect person. I know what I know, and I don't know what I don't know. But you know what? If it's something I don't know, I will eventually know what I don't know, because I go ahead and I engage everyone in a way of, hey, I've got this, I've got that, I've got this.
Mhm.
Or, hey, how'd you set up this? How'd you do this? How'd you do that?
Right. Right, exactly.
You know, ask questions of how, who, what, why, the who, what, why, when, and where. Ask those questions.
Keep the interchange on the right.
Right.
Head
And,
on.
there's a big difference between being confident in what you know, which is what I observe with you and what I try to do myself.
Mm-hmm.
There's a big difference between being prideful and being confident in what you know.
Yes.
Oh my God. I would have people, talk behind my back at conventions. Be like, oh, he's so proud. All he cares about is money. Blah, blah, blah.
That's what happens to me at work all the time. I'm like,
Are you stupid? It's not that I care only about money. It's that I know what I'm doing and I'm good at it. And also, at the same time, I am always ready to learn more. I'm always looking to improve both myself and my methods. And if you are so closed-minded that when you see that, all you see is, all he cares about is the sale. No! What I care about is doing a good job at what I do.
now, we are getting close to our destination, so we are going to take a short break.
Keep the interchange on the right.
Well, I mean, we've done quite a bit today, so this would be a good end of this episode.
Yep.
So we'll go ahead and do the outro.
Okay.
Thank you so much for listening. We greatly appreciate it. Make sure to give us a like, comment if you're on YouTube, and give us a review if you find us on any of your favorite podcast platforms like iTunes.
On the right.
We greatly appreciate it, and we will see you next time.